Okay, I have 4 proofs here that I would like you to practice with. What we're trying to do is get you to the point where you can do these by yourself. So I want you to really push yourself on this to do as many of these as you can before you listen to me go through the explanation. Okay, so I'm going to just continue to talk, but please pause and do what you need to do and then come back and double check items. All right, let's set up our columns here and get things started. And I hope that you are starting to feel more comfortable and, starting to understand how I can have something different from you and we could still be correct. I'm really going to need you to reach out and ask questions about that because there definitely are many ways to do proofs, and some proofs have multiple answers to them. So if you're getting something different than me, then that could be fine. Okay, I've got PQ bisects SPT. SP is congruent to TP given. Now I can't mark the bisector just yet, but I can mark these 2 segments. All right, my next thought process, or when I approach proofs, each given should allow me to either directly mark my diagram or think of an idea for my next statement. So if I read the bisector, if PQ is bisecting angle SPT, so find angle SPT, I'm going to point to angle P. So SPT is right here, this angle at the top. Okay, so I know that bisecting means cutting something in half. So I'm now able to say, okay, angle P is getting cut in half by the bisector. So I'm going to mark the angles congruent. They each get an arc. So that is my next line here. So number 2, now I can't just say angle P congruent to angle P because there's 2 of them I want to specify. So the left angle I can call SPQ. Angle SPQ is congruent to angle TPQ. And I am able to mark that because I know what the definition of a bisector is. So this is definition of bisector, or definition of angle bisector. Okay, I'm done with the bisector. I'm done with the other given. Now look to the diagram. What do I see that I can now include in my proof? I see a shared side. I see a reflexive. So I'm going to mark that with 2 tick marks. So I'm going to name that segment PQ is congruent to segment PQ, and that is my reflexive property of congruence. Okay, now, do I have enough to have shown the triangles are congruent? So take a look at your foldable, and specifically we're looking at the markings on the 2 different triangles. I see the angle is in between the 2 sides. So I have side angle side. So I'm ready to be done. Okay, so I am ready to say, step 4, you copy down what you're trying to prove. Triangle SPQ is congruent to triangle TPQ, and that is by side angle side. Okay, now steps 2 and 3, again, can switch spots. I need step 2 to come after the given. I can't show that 2 angles are equal by the bisector if I haven't said there's a bisector. So we could reverse steps 2 and 3, but other than that, I think that this is the only way we can get to this solution. Okay, let's move on to number 2. So I would encourage you to stop the video and get as far as you can, and then come back to the video, and I will go through some steps. Okay, 2 segments and a set of parallel lines are marked. So I can't really go any further with the segments, but I can go further with my parallel lines. So parallel lines, if you have parallel lines, I want your next thought to be, okay, let's look for some equal angles. Now, we do have some supplementary angles, but we tend to work with the equal angles in a proof. It's just a little easier to work with. All right, so I'm just going to draw on my picture for a moment. Here are my parallel lines. Okay, I have 2 potential transversals. So if I start, let's start with this one. Let's see what we can get. I don't really need that, I guess. All right, so let's see what I notice. I see some alternate interior angles. So right now I'm just going to mark things up. Okay, those are definitely alternate interior, but this one right here at the top is not even in the triangle I'm working with. So that may be true, but it doesn't really help me get to, I'm looking for 2 angles congruent, 2 corresponding angles congruent in the different triangles. I think that's really about all I can work with on that. So let's not use that transversal. Let's look at this transversal. And let's find some stuff. Okay, I just initially mark this. These are corresponding angles. And they are in the 2 different triangles. So that is going to help me get a set of angles. All right, so let me clean this up a little bit. So I'm going to put a single arc here and a single arc here. And these are corresponding angles. So because the lines are parallel first, this is the corresponding angles postulate. Now you could say corresponding angles theorem, but this is not the converse. The converse would prove the lines are parallel, and I already know they're parallel. All right, the top angle, we can't just call it angle X because which angle X are you talking about? So let's name it VXW. So VXW is congruent to angle XYZ, and that's our corresponding angles postulate. Okay, every item I mark, I always pause and say, am I done? Do I have enough to get one of my shortcuts? And I do have one. I have 2 sides and an angle. And I see that my angle here is sandwiched in between my 2 sides. So this is side, angle, side. So, oops, I'm ready to be done. So line 3, I'm going to copy down what I'm trying to prove. So a triangle VXW is congruent to triangle XYZ. And we have side, angle, side, SAS. Okay, let's move on to 3. I think I'm going to make a second video, so this one's not too long. So I am going to stop this one here and create a second video, but go ahead and try to move on to 3 and 4 by yourself before you start the video.